Jamar Chase right after that pick at 1-8. Then I went Justin Fields, Lamar Jackson, CeeDee Lamb, and then the turn took Deshaun Watson and Kyler Murray.
Okay.
And I was kind of hoping Deshaun Watson would kind of like slip back to me in the second, and that would have changed my draft all the way as well. He didn't. So right then when Deshaun Watson, Kyler Murray, I was ecstatic I took Trevor Lawrence because that was it. That was the end of a tier, essentially.
Right.
I mean, you have Dak on there. So otherwise, I would have missed out. So here I would be sitting with Justin Jefferson, and the guy who took Justin Jefferson ended up going receiver again after that because you missed that quarterback run, and now you're settling for that other tier of quarterback.
I am a little bit surprised how far Dak ended up falling. I mean, it's not super far, but to me, Dak's the last guy in that tier, and for him to last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 picks all the way to 2-9 after Kyler was kind of surprising to me because I thought somebody would have gobbled him up real quick.
Well, it's because of what happened next.
Oh, tell us.
So Kyler Murray goes at 2-1 around the turn. Then it goes A.J. Brown, Jalen Waddle, and then right before me, because I'd moved up to 5 at 2-4, Justin Tucker went, which was 23-1-1.
Justin Tucker, congratulations.
Bijan Robinson. So Bijan Robinson ends up going at 2-4.
So in this draft,
So the 1-1 is what went there. Not
Yes,
we
1-1.
know it's Bijan,
yeah,
but it's the 1-1.
it's
1-1.
the 1-1 in the 23 draft.
Yeah, so we used kickers as 23 picks, and we used defensive players as 24 picks. So if you selected a defensive player, that pick was off the board, and we kept a pinned chat with all the picks in the chat. So then I was up next, and this is where my whole draft kind of turns into what it was. So I was up next. I'd moved up in the second round, which I was pretty happy with because right before this pick, it did go 1-1.
What was the cost to move up there? Do you recall off the top of your head or no?
I'd moved back to 1-7.
That was just the leftover from the pick.
That was okay. All right.
So I moved up 2 spots in the second round, and he moved back 2 spots in the second round. Now, in most cases, usually once we see any kind of run, it starts if somebody picks the first. A lot of people were surprised because at the next pick, I took 24-1-1. And some people were shocked. They were like, oh, my God, it went way higher than I thought it would. I thought it would go to the back end of the second. And I wrote in the group chat, I was like, well, if I'm being honest, I would have selected 24-1-1 over the 23-1-1.
Which is traditionally not standard wisdom that we would give. Like, you don't want to have to wait a year.
Right.
But because of specifically who we knew was coming out,
Caleb Williams
changes things.
So I'm getting the hype train quarterback that's going to be worth more than Bijan Robinson startups. I missed out on, Caleb Williams would go ahead of Deshaun Watson. He would go ahead of Kyler Murray for sure in startups. So I already
Next year.
Absolutely.
And it's not like, again, this is literally 1 year down the road. It's the next draft, right? So I took the 1-1 there knowing now I have Trevor Lawrence, I have Caleb Williams. So I have exactly what I wanted in the first place. I have a core line of quarterbacks. Now, how that changed my mentality was every time another quarterback was on the board was like, well, I'm going to have Caleb Williams next year. And it's going to be Trevor Lawrence and Caleb Williams to start on my team for the next 15 years, essentially. Right. So it really did change the way I looked at quarterbacks. I had my quarterback on my team. He tore his ACL or something. He's not going to be on my team until next year. So having that 1-1, it really kind of changed the way I looked at other quarterbacks because now I had 2 quarterbacks at that 1-1. And if anything, it's a power. Like I also looked at these picks as powerhouse trade assets, right?
Sure.
Like the more picks I had, the more trade assets I had as well, because now other people don't have picks essentially.
Correct.
For every one I take, somebody else cannot have. And some teams didn't take a lot of draft picks. They just took players.
It's just a supply and demand type of issue. You take up all the supply and then there's demand for all your picks.
Yeah, so I gave myself a lot of leeway here, like to move around my team. I have a lot of tradable assets. So getting that 1-1 there, I knew now I had Trevor Lawrence and Caleb Williams, and I don't have to worry about I don't have to worry about forcing quarterback at this point. Mm-hmm. I'm shorthanded this year, but again, record doesn't matter this year. So if I finish in 3rd, 5th, 6th, whatever, I have to just wait 1 year to get my guy, and then my franchise could take off. Mm-hmm. That's fine. But so once I took this player here, I was like, okay, my strategy was, okay, I got the 1-1. I got my young quarterbacks. Now I could build a team. I told myself, I'm going to build a team. I'm going to try and get a good starting lineup, a solid starting lineup. Don't worry, grab veterans where I can, and then back it up with youth. And by youth, draft capital. And I'll grab young guys where I can, but like I'm not overly concerned about taking the upside when I can take the upside in the draft of the unknown.
It's an interesting strategy. It seems like you're almost taking a 2-year look at this. I mean, you're almost looking at it 2 year. You're not looking at next year as anything other than a free ride, right?
Correct.
And I'm wondering if other people in this draft kind of pounced on that and kind of took advantage and maybe went for a little bit more win now, right? Because it seems like you want to.
It's a good time to go for a win now.
It absolutely is. And,
A couple teams did that.
Yeah, I'm sure they did. Interesting. I mean, your strategy is definitely probably more forward looking, while the other teams are kind of going for it right then and there, just to kind of grab a quick trophy. I've been in leagues where I did that, and then it is sometimes hard to rebound though. That's the one thing.
See, I didn't think I was. Here's the thing, though. I didn't think I was taking that big of a risk. I know it sounds like a risk because you take the 2024 1-1, but this would be like the year before Trevor Lawrence was coming out, right?
Sure.
Like almost like if you had like same thing. Like if I needed a running back and I knew I was getting Bijan next year, like it changes the way I draft running backs. So getting a caliber player like Caleb Williams, which we can all agree is easily the one. He would have been the number one pick in the NFL draft this year. Like I said. The way I look at it, I got value with this pick because Bijan went right before him. I would take in Caleb ahead of Bijan Robinson. They're both in the same draft class. I mentioned I would take in Caleb Williams ahead of CeeDee Lamb.
Right.
Kyler
Murray.
All the players
Watson,
that he went ahead of him.
CeeDee Lamb.
1-1, Jalen Waddle, A.J. Brown, Kyler Murray, Deshaun Watson, CeeDee Lamb, Lamar Jackson.
You would take him ahead of?
Yes.
Okay.
Because he's super mobile as well. We don't know what's going on with Lamar. It's close, but it's 50-50 on that one.
So you would have basically taken him at 1-8.
I would have taken him at 1-8. Yeah. So I ended up having back-to-back first, essentially, in my eyes.
Right.
Now, does it mean for sure that Caleb Williams is going to pan out? No. But at the same time, I told myself as well, you said, oh, you missed out on Justin Jefferson. My thought process is anything happens to Caleb Williams. Say he gets hurt, he has a down year, he goes back to school. Maybe Drake May bounces back up.
Yeah.
But then worst case scenario is best case scenario is I get Marvin Harrison Jr.
Well, and that's the nice part about draft assets. And we don't talk about it a ton. I know we talked about it a few years back, but they are one thing that you can almost for sure say is always going to appreciate in value. You know, if you get a 25 first right now, 26 first, it's not worth very much. But you know, in 2 years, 3 years, it's going to be worth quite a bit because the excitement for the class, the recency of the players that you're going to get, once you start being able to put names to them, very, very rarely is a draft pick going to lose value because draft picks can't get hurt. Draft picks can't get suspended. Because you can always pivot to a different player. So that is the one nice part about picks over players. Whereas I like this even more than if you were able to say, I'm taking Caleb Williams today. I like this even more just in case.
Because it's not set in stone.
It's not.
And that's why I liked it as well. And I'm telling you, I absolutely loved doing it. I want to do another one. Like it was a ton of fun because you're right. The unknown. You're not set on that player. So if something goes bad and you took it, same thing. If I took Caleb Williams here and something went bad, yeah, my team's devastated. But I'm not. I just have the 1-1 where, like Garrett said, that at no point depreciates in value. All it does is go up in value. And my thought process throughout this was like, okay, draft picks these are the picks. Like there's no other, like I for sure have this pick.
You don't have to worry about the risk of it falling or the team doing better than you thought or anything like that.
And you'll see with some of the other picks I have, and I'll talk about these when we get to them. It's like, okay, it's easy to say, oh, you're trading for that first. It could be 1-1. It could be 1-4. No, it's 1-1.
It's 100%.
It's 1-1.
Yep.
And I might be positioned to move off of 1-1 and get like maybe Daniel Jones in 1-2. But who knows how it plays out, right? If Caleb Williams tears the roof off, I'm probably just going to keep it. So that was my thought process.
Maybe you could get Justin Jefferson.
Yeah.
Maybe.
But, so like my thought process was like, okay, I just got really good value there. Because if we did this draft this time next year, this player is going higher.
Speaking of value, real quick, before you move on to the next player, did it change how you valued quarterback moving forward?
Yes.
Because, I know sometimes when you get set at a position, you might have value at, I know you said already Daniel Jones didn't end up being that guy, but you might have value at Derek Carr or Russell Wilson or wherever, where normally you would draft them. And I'm a big proponent of value-based drafting, but it's tough when you're like, well, I already have two starters basically. So did that alter your draft selections at all?
It did, because I felt I had 2 quarterbacks, Caleb Williams. But I did. My plan was always to have 3 young quarterbacks. Like, my plan was Daniel Jones the whole time. That was my whole thought process with Jared Goff as a backup plan. I got sniped every time, so it kind of did change how I wanted this to play out. It didn't play out exactly like I wanted to, but no startup usually does.
Sure.
And I'm okay with that. You know what I mean? Like, I want to come in here and be a little risky with it, because I want to see how it played out. Like, this is, for me,
it's an experiment.
The whole reason I wanted to do this was draft, because I wanted to see it was an experiment to me. You know what I mean? I'm just putting my money on the experiment. And I knew if I invested in 1-1 in future capital, then I would be okay no matter how it pans out. Because if my team fails, like this year, I have the draft capital to back it up. I have the draft capital of a failed team already. Right. So it does not matter to me. So right after I take the 1-1, it goes Breece Hall, Amon-Ra St. Brown. Then it went 2023 1-2.
Okay.
Dak Prescott, Jonathan Taylor, Christian McCaffrey. 2024 1-2 went at 212. And then 23 1-3 went at the turn as well. So the person who took Patrick Mahomes now has 24 1-2 and 23 1-3.
So he's got some,
some
good assets.
So he's looking at, if he went all quarterbacks, which he probably won't, but he's probably looking at Bryce Young or CJ Stroud. And then he's looking at, Drake May or Marvin Harrison Jr.
Yeah. He's in a good spot there as well. So he can get the other quarterback. He can get Marvin Harrison Jr., anybody he wants there. We'll see how it plays out. It'll probably be Marvin Harrison Jr. But if Drake May comes out and balls out, it'd probably be Drake May. Doesn't matter how good the receiver is. No. Then it went Tyreek Hill, Kenneth Walker, and then, my thought process here again. So I was up in 2 picks. And my thought process was like, I'm taking Kyle Pitts, right? Like,
For sure.
And we just talked about this on the podcast. These are Nerd members.
Yeah.
And like a lot of picks that what happened, Kyle Pitts went right before me, which again threw me off, right? Because I was like, okay, I'm gonna get Kyle Pitts. I'm gonna have just Trevor Lawrence, Kyle Pitts, and
you loaded
Bill
up
Williams.
on, because this is a Superflex tight end premium. We might not have mentioned that it's tight end premium.
He did. Yep.
So, did he? Okay. So you're basically strong at all the premium positions then.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So when it came to me, I was up next after Kyle Pitts went. I was a little upset, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna take either Garrett Wilson or Mark Andrews.
A little upset is basically his permanent state for like the next 5 or 6 rounds. Right?
Yeah.
It's just a little.
I kept getting, like, literally right before I was going to pick a player, he'd get
What happened later in this round did work out though.
It worked out perfectly for me.
So
I wanted Garrett Wilson or Mark Andrews, and I was like, okay, if I stay here, I'm gonna take Garrett Wilson. That's gonna be my young receiver. I'm a big fan. That gives me another young guy. I put it out there, hey, I'm willing to trade back here to move up a little bit in like the 5th round or whatever. And I traded back a little bit, thinking if I traded back a little bit, one of those guys would probably still be there. So I did trading back again. I traded back, I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like 6 spots, all the way down to
310.
310.
Mm-hmm.
So the person who took my spot took 2023 1-4, it looks like. And then I went Tua, then I went Garrett Wilson, then I went Trey Lance, then I went to Devontae Smith, and then finally I was up and Mark Andrews was there.
still on the board.
Still on the board. And there was contemplation when Kyle Pitts got picked, right, that Mark Andrews was going to be your pick anyway.
Yeah.
Right?
So it worked out.
Yeah.
I was going to take Mark Andrews or Garrett Wilson.
Yep.
If I would have stayed true, I probably would have taken Garrett Wilson,
Yeah.
even though I felt like Mark Andrews was the right pick.
We literally talked about this. We're like, Mark Andrews is the right pick. Garrett Wilson's more fun.
It's funny because I talked to you both separately about it. I was like, Mark Andrews or Garrett Wilson. And we all 3 had the same exact response. Mark Andrews is the right pick, but I would take Garrett Wilson.
Yeah. It's hard not to,
He looks like he could be the next Justin Jefferson,
Sure.
like we're talking about. Yep. So you could still get Justin Jefferson just in the 3rd round.
So like I preached on the podcast, like I want to get one of the elite tight ends. Mm-hmm. So I have Trevor Lawrence and Mark Andrews. I have a really good tight end. I still got the Caleb Williams. No running backs, no receivers yet.